Well, look at that. It says I'm live. I thought I would show up here a minute earlier than I announced my scheduled time to go live, as I was a minute late last time. And I'm seeing I'm talking to dead air because apparently per StreamYard, there's nobody watching yet. Oh, no, now there's four people. So, hello, four people. Not sure who you are, but good morning. I decided to go live a minute before I had announced my going live time at 10 a.m. because the last time I went live, I was a minute late. So just thought I'd balance out that. Right. I do have a pending invite I sent out to somebody. If those who are here now will remember, I was trying to utilize what I understood to be a new feature to live streaming, and that was I should be, as I understood it at the time, be able to put my cursor over a guest in the chat, and it would prompt me to invite them to come and join the chat live, and it would be that simple. Well, um, as typical me, I read into that too deeply or beyond what was in front of me and overlooked the fact that that feature is something StreamYard only offers for webinars, and that is a part of the StreamYard service where you can set up a scheduled meeting with invited guests. And it's only through those invited guests that then become part of the chat during your webinar that I could move my mouse over their name in it and then bring them into the live chat here on the screen. So that was my misunderstanding. So that still does not stop um, me being able to offer you uh, the ability if you are so interested, where I can bring you into this. You just need to, let's see, I thought about this earlier now to make it simple so I don't sit here and earn awe, but I'm hoping you all can hear me pretty well. Um, but to do that, all I need to do is send you an invite. And for that, I need an email for you to send a link, an invite link to this live stream that you would then need to paste in a Chrome browser address bar and only utilize that link that I would send you in a Chrome browser. You can't use Safari if you have um, Windows or a Mac. I mean, not Windows. If you have Apple or a Mac. Um, so just be careful if that's what you do and you don't use Chrome as your default browser, because you'll be faced with prompting to do you want to set Chrome as your default? That's up to you. I'm just trying to help you understand. By my offering, could be walking into you changing your settings and your normalities on your on your desktop. So, um, anyways, that's all to watch out for. I see there's some fine individuals here. It's kind of growing pretty fast. It went from 0 to now there's 17 people. I'm going to do the best I can to look at my phone, by the way, as basically I'm looking at you folks sitting here looking at me on this screen, so I can feel more as though I am truly interacting with you. It's distracting to me when I look back and see my eyes wandering somewhere, and it's like I'm not paying attention to you. Just part of the normal adult conversation process. It's like us standing there face to face, and if the person I'm talking to, I find their eyes wandering off to left field or right field, and I'm like, what's happening here? It just I don't want to create that kind of problem. So trying to do the best I can to stay focused. I've noticed some other people on their platforms. Aaron does a good job as an example of creating a conversation with nobody sitting in front of him. So I've got to learn that mentality of realizing there's somebody sitting in front of me. So and try to create a productive conversation as though someone's actively sitting here. So, anyways, there you have it. Um, So, anyways, I do have somebody pending once they find themselves able to sit down and get set up. It may be 2 minutes from now, maybe 20 minutes from now. So it's just there, and anybody else is welcome. So, hello everybody. Hello. This beautiful name, Linda Von Stretchclaw. I so love that. What a great name to come up with. It just sounds so cool. It sounds sexy. It sounds mysterious. It sounds um, artistic. Just so much to be said about it. There is, and it's just out of respect. There's Amanda Mangels, um, and Peter Anderson. Pause for Andrea. Evis created Unicorn, Roberta. So I do see y'all. Uh, looks like I'm hitting somebody at 3 a.m. Oh my gosh, in Australia. Oh, and there he is. Okay, my buddy. So I'm going to bring on Jorge, my brother from another mother. We used to be guards together just because he popped up and I did the best I could let you know he's coming. But anyways, hello in Australia. And here comes Jorge. There he is.
Hey, man.
Oops. I got to turn you down so there's no feedback. How are
Sorry.
you?
Good. How are you?
How are you, Jorge?
Doing all right. Can you hear me all right?
I guess I can only hear you through that. I don't understand why I'm not hearing you through my headphones, but okay. I guess it's okay. Yeah, I hear you now. Thanks for.
Good.
I'm sorry about throwing this out there so late. And,
The problem I'm having is my battery. My computer didn't seem to be charging, so I may die very quickly.
okay. Well, there's nothing I can do to sort that out. Anyways, I wanted to get to first something that I wanted to let everybody know of that to help organize my thoughts when I do these lives. I started making a list of topics that kind of support the reason why I feel I'm here, and that is to help people better understand what it was like living life as an average human being, Sea Org member, staff member at the international base out in Gilman Hot Springs, California, down in Riverside County. Just I say all that to let everybody know. If you want to go look in to see where the heck that is, if you don't know already, it's in Riverside County. It's near an adjoining city called the city of San Jacinto. Also in the valley of what's known the Hemet Valley, which is a bordering city to San Jacinto, which is the biggest city out in that valley, which is basically nestled into the foothill and in the base of Mount San Jacinto. So there's some geographic tidbits for you. Anyways, so having said all that, I came up with these ideas of topics to discuss, and I just want to let everybody know that's here. And Jorge, this may stimulate some memory cells for you too. So first of all, I thought it would be interesting for people to know what it's been like for me since leaving staff and how I arrived to where I'm at today and here and now. My life in Oregon since moving here, what it's been like, my life experiences, things I've found myself having done or experienced, which I personally find interesting. Others may find fascinating. If we go to cover that, tell me to piss off and shut up. Um, I also can go over the mail checking and data gathering intelligence arm of my security force that I created and developed. I didn't wholeheartedly create the whole thing, but I certainly embraced it and took advantage of that tool to help my ability or increase my ability and everybody else's, my guard's ability to recover people, bring back people against their will. Um, I wanted to discuss and talk about what type of impact music had on me as a staff member, the memories that it brings up instantaneously the moment I hear the first chord of a given song. Um, it takes me right back to that very moment, and just an interesting experience. I don't know, Jorge, if you may have had similar experiences, but one particular police song takes me right back to when I was on the RPF and 3 o'clock in the morning building the 12 mic studio. Um, that being one, then also a lot of music just brings back great memories of some great people back there. So and it also
Well,
influenced.
I got to interrupt you. I got to interrupt you. You used to. I remember very fondly sitting in your car playing Name That Tune, and I didn't know many of them. But it's that I do that with my son now, and it's just funny. I remember very fond memories of that music.
Wow.
I don't know if
Were you
you
driving
remember
in a
those
security
times.
truck?
No, it was in your car. You had a
Oh, my my
was,
Buick Delta 88.
yeah.
You're coming in a little hot on your microphone, by the way.
Oh
It's
God, I'm
to the
sorry.
point that it's a little distorted.
Let's see. Is
Just letting
that
you know.
better?
That's better.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
I hope I'm not the same. I'm hopeful that I'm kind of crystal clear, but
now you're coming in crystal.
you're not hearing the fluids flow through my airway or nasal cavity.
Not at
Well,
all.
that's interesting, Jorge. We'll get into that when we come to that, or when you hear me talk about it. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
cut you off at all. I just
No,
want to
no,
get
you're fine.
okay. I also would like to go over, if anybody finds it interesting, all the brotherhood and sisterhood that I progressively built up and became friends with many throughout my career in firefighting out there in Riverside County, and how all that ties into my involvement and experience with the church and Scientology, and also how that, unbeknownst to me, became a very supportive community once they became aware of my having partook in the Scientology the Aftermath on the A&E series. So um, I also had a recent life experience where I attended a retirement party of four one of those firefighters that I witnessed and have the pleasure to say that I was there through his building career up to his from engineer fire, being a company officer, lower ranking firefighter, to being a chief and playing a major role in creating a major influence in the firefighting world. It's quite fascinating. But the person involved is just beyond a unique, compassionate, incredible human being. And I also, because I bring that up because I kind of use that as a relatable Scientology, especially at the Ant Base, they would push into our minds all the time. And Corey, you'll probably remember this, that anybody outside this perimeter fences are pieces of shit and they're troubled individuals, and they're not they hold no value in life. So my conflict was witnessing this firefighter friend of mine, his success and beauty without the influence of Scientology. So, anyways, um, I can tell you stories about my personal RPF experiences, or my travel through the rehabilitation project force. Um, the what do they call that? The reconditioning. I forget the technical psychological
The
term for a
rehabilitate. Oh, yeah. You
reconditioning or
mean like
conditioning, whatever the fuck it is.
rehabilitation project force? Or
Yeah,
you mean
but
like actual brainwashing?
yeah, well, yeah. There's a real world, clinical, scientific way to explain what the RPF's about. Giving me the ability to shortcut explain the whole thing to help bring
I think
understanding about it.
conditioning is a good
Yeah, yeah.
is a
The other
word.
thing is, I have through my life living and working at the headquarters out there at Gimlin Hot Springs, I took it upon myself to learn more about Gimlin Hot Springs itself and learn about anything and everything about it. So whatever I could put my hands on at the time, the internet wasn't available then. So um, all I could do is read books or reading encyclopedias or ask people who I know who resided out there in the Hemet San Jacinto Valley and ask them what they knew of it. So I have some of that. I'd like to speak about my time that I spent in the film side of Golden Air Productions, the cine side, the cinematography side, where I had a short-lived part um, before my involvement in security. I was actually in cine as played a video assistant, and just to share my experience there. And then also, Jorge, you probably will remember this, my involvement with the INCOM mission, which was a significant changing point in the world
Remember
of the
that?
Sea Organization, had a lot to do with a major, what Scientology or Dave Miscavige specifically considered the worst out security in the history of Scientology. And him putting me in charge, choosing me and putting me in charge of the security aspect of that mission. So I have a lot of details to go over that. I was involved with the building of the Star of California, which is that replica of a clipper ship that you've all probably seen in any Google Maps or drive-bys of that property. You see a building with 3 sailing masts sticking up out of it, and but no one's really gone up there. There's relative to the numbers in the local community or in society in general. Not a whole lot of people have gone up there and put their feet on the decks. And I was there from day one on the building of that to the last day of it. So I can give you a rundown about that and things we did and all that. I obviously have a lot to talk about chasing staff down. There's when I say that, what pops into my head, and I don't know if you remember these individuals, but like Chris Byrne,
Yeah.
yeah, Julie Catano, Julie Fisher. There's a number of significant ones, but I can give you some inside understanding about what was involved and what we went through to find people, and yes, literally chase them down.
I think you take too much credit. I think you have to understand it wasn't your, uh, like you wouldn't have done that on your own. You're saying that this is Scientology policy. This is something that, yes, we took part in, but I believe that, I mean, had you not been there, that this would still have gone on. You know what I'm saying? It's not your macabre plan to, yeah, but we definitely made it very, very efficient, effective. But it's not necessarily
the act of
your thing.
Going out and finding somebody wasn't like me sitting in the back of the room going, "Hey, I know we can chase people down." And I know how to do it. And someone going, yeah, no, that was not me.
No.
If anything, it wasn't me. It was me going, oh my God, here comes another blow. My life's going to turn into shit really fast. So anyways, talking about blows. Also, there's another individual that I thought it would be of interest to talk. And Jorge, you'll know who these people are. This gentleman named Thomas Burke and his wife, Carol. And also the interesting fact how I've become quite good friends, more socially than anything, but we've had some pretty interesting exchanges of communication. His brother named Charles Wildbank. And both Thomas and Charles, and pretty much the genes in the Burke / Wildbank. I don't know why the two brothers have different names, but yes, Charles and Thomas are brothers. I don't know that familiar side, which is a classic side effect of being in the Sea Org. You never knew anything beyond the person standing in front of you. You never got to know their family and all that. But I've come to know Charles. He is a fabulous, incredible artist. I highly recommend people Googling Charles Wildbank, and you will run across his Facebook page or his website, and you'll be introduced to some of the most stunning art I personally myself have ever seen. So that's why I thought it would be interesting to talk about him and all the little fun stories that I have with Tom. And you may remember this, Jorge, when Thomas, who was deaf, by the way, he was full on 100% deaf, but he lived life to the fullest. He had a motorcycle, and he loved speed. And I don't know if you remember this, Jorge, but you remember when he was down in Los Angeles, he got asked to come up to meet with Dave Miscavige on the phone when he was in Los Angeles. Dave thought that would take 2-3 hours from now, and Thomas showed up just over an hour later. Yeah, meaning if you do the math, he was going well over 110 miles an hour the entire time to make that travel in such a short period of time. Anyways, I just thought that would be a fascinating story to talk about. And jobs that I've worked at since leaving the staff and my life experiences. I look back on that and go, wow, man, that was some interesting trips that I've had, or things that I found myself being paid to do that was like, I'm getting paid to do this. It wasn't just a job, but it's like, I'm getting paid to do this. So, and then finally, but not limited to just this list. My last thought on the fly was discussing the team share system, which was a system intended to be implemented as a reward and penalty system for the upper echelon of um, Scientology, particularly to the Imp base, and then it was um, taken down and executed down at the middle management in Los Angeles area, and attempted there. It certainly failed there, but anyways, I have a lot of details on how that system came about from its inception, conception, and implementation to it eventually falling away by default because it was heavily abused. Quickly, there's a lady here that says, um, Candy's Life. Hello and nice to meet you, Jorge. I don't know if you can see the chat. Can you see the chat,
I see
Jorge?
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just madly respect the people that are taking the time to even show up here. Um, so I just want to dip in and out every now
Totally.
and then. It's oh yeah, I forgot to say hello. Hey, or you know there's people down there in the HGB watching us right now, right? We both know that. I mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. There's actually people who are paid $47 a week or $50 a week. Taxes once taxes are taken out, it averages out just over 47 or 46 to almost 47. I don't know the math. I forget what the tax rate is down in California because I haven't lived there so long. But once taxes are taken out, they no longer have $50. It lands somewhere between 40 and $50 for pocket money. But there are
That's
people there sitting there right now taking interest in reading between the lines and seeing the beans that you and I are spilling, or giving them tips, or maybe looking for you and I inadvertently telling them what it is you and I are doing behind the scenes, so they can then go run off and put a action into play to disrupt any and all efforts that they are aware of that you and I are working on, or people that we are involved with, to go shut it down, to silence us, to silence the effort. And
yep.
that is just so batshit crazy that even think that a human being spends their time doing that in a
It's
church.
insane. That church, yeah. I have to say one thing. I don't think that they can't. Sorry, I'm having a brain issue, but they're not taxes. They're isn't it just strictly Social Security? They're tax exempt. I don't know how that works.
Well, Jorge, like you, I am not. I'm the most illiterate last guy to ask about how to explain the 501c, with exception to my experience with it is I was in my volunteer firefighter capacity. We were an organization at a particular firehouse that we had a president, a vice president, a secretary, and members, and it was run off of the what is that? Robert Rules of Order, that established a standardized, an industry standardized standard of how to um, conduct a meeting and organize the meeting.
Uh,
So the meeting runs smooth, and topics of value are discussed, solutions or logically addressed, and it keeps order in the meeting rather than a bunch of people just sitting there yelling and trying to talk with each other. Not necessarily yelling, but talking, leading up to people yelling at each other because they're frustrated they can't get a word in otherwise. So, anyways, having said that, I that's the only level of my in-depth knowledge of the responsibilities and obligations the 501c identified organization is held accountable to, because I became aware of it through my involvement with that, and we had to be transparent in all aspects um, of our actions because we took in donations. We solicited donations from the local community to purchase emergency response equipment, and we had to put on programs to go do that, such as pancake breakfasts, or have a barbecue at some sort of organized carnival, or organized tie into an organized public event, such as a parade or something. We would organize setting up at one end of the parade hamburger stand or something, and have a tip or a donation jar sitting there. Or we would write letters to the local throughout the local zip codes asking people to donate, and we would go through that whole process of sending out letters. First, putting together a letter, the company authorizing it, getting the department chief to authorize it because we're representing the fire department in general, so we had to get his authorization. Anyways, if what I've just explained helps you understand, that's the level of my knowledge. Beyond that, I don't
No,
know.
it's
So I go ahead.
no, it's fine. I was just I guess it's I should have understood it. I know that the church went tax exempt in the '90s while we were there, uh, but that's I don't really understand how the pay system worked exactly. Back then, we weren't even making $50 a week. We were making, I think, 24, half that.
Oh, yeah. See, there's a lot of discrepancies with the pay in which the amount of pay we were being paid. Um, because when I first joined the Sea Org, it was $50 was $1 million increase in perspective of a Sea Org member.
Yeah,
So at one time, the top pay was $25, I think, or $24, and deductions from that, you ended up getting somewhere like $18 or $19, something like that. And I remember distinctly, I think I may have a pay stub from them from then.
wow.
Um, I do have my W-2, which I do intend, by the way. I'm getting this information loaded onto my computer so I can bring them up and share these documents with you that I have. That being one of my W-2 that I obtained from the church when I left staff, because they have to give you your W-2s. Somehow I tripped across that bit of knowledge and I asked for it because now I realized I was walking in a world to need a world that demands accountability on your personal finances. So I needed a W 2. So they produced it for me. And this W 2, you're going to be appalled when I show it to you. It's just a majority of the listed years that I was there were zeros of
Yeah,
when and how much I was paid. For the years you'll see that I was paid, you're gonna go, I can't even to today's financial standards, you're gonna go, I can't even fill my tank of gas on my car up
yeah.
with what he was paid in a year. So I
Oh
couldn't
no.
even make a one mortgage payment. So just trying to help people understand the reality of what it was like, what we personally endured, or what I personally endured as a staff member. And I don't know. And then I've got a letter from Heber on official Church of Scientology International letterhead that it was the one thing that I was able to obtain when I left as a reference to my work history so I could go out and get a job. And that's all the church, I screamed so much that's all they came back with was a letter from Heber Gents, the president of the church. Anyway, so that completes my list of stuff that I've come up with. If anybody out there in my listening world here, um, wants to throw out any other questions, I'll add it to my list and expand on it. Jorge, I'm not avoiding you. I'm trying to do the
No.
best I can because I don't have a moderator here. I do that by choice, um, because this moderated world has become an act of pure kindness. And I found that now there's unfortunately, number of moderators who have been aggressively attacked for their kindness. And
I'm sure.
it's created this toxicity in the moderations world. So until that settles down, I want to keep the kind folks who offer up, because I've had people just at a last time offer up. Um, but anyways, I'm going to get back to the question here that I saw that um, somebody threw at me, and respectfully, I want to answer it. So let me scroll here quickly. Okay, here's Peter Anderson. Um, Whoops, I need to scoot my screen over so I can read it. Okay, comment. I found out through Mitch Brisker that the tunnels at the Gold Base were built in approximately 1995 after Applebox Boy, I love that reference, convinced the county they were a necessity. Excuse me. Um, yes, you're correct. The time frame I believe is accurate. 95. Somebody asked me about this before because I was there the entire time before there was even an idea of let's put a tunnel in, to the demand we need to put a tunnel in, or some either a bridge or a tunnel over Highway 79. Requests were placed with the county of Riverside. I remember this because being in security, I had a lot of input to give. I was, I was one of the jobs uh, inside in house that had to give their input. It'd be like the chief electrician would come and join this conversation because how are we going to provide electricity to it? So I was that is how are we going to, what are the security aspects of this? So if we put a bridge or a tunnel, how's this going to affect our security type thing? So it'd be my responsibility to give my responsible input. So Applebox Boy convinced the county. No, not specifically Dave. Dave would put the squeeze internally to overcome the resistance that initially was met by the county that denied our request to put a tunnel in because they did not want us tunneling under Highway 79, which is a state highway at that time. Nowadays, and the state highway is referring to the main road that cuts the international base in half. There's a north side and south side, surely by the fact of that arterial roadway into and out of the Hemet San Jacinto Valley goes right through the Gilman Hot Springs property. And at the time, and for all the entire time that I was there, it was always identified, and the people responsible for it was the state because it was a state highway. If anybody knows anything about, and I don't know if you remember this and know this, Jorge, what's the difference between a state highway and an interstate? Quickly, state highways are the original roadways established naturally by our pioneers, the original settlers to that state. It was just an open land, prairies, and all that, and people just started traveling. And as a human does, they picked the path of least resistance, and that became the common path. And then they became the path in which horse-drawn carriages would travel over, or horses would travel over. And because that became the common thing, that when concrete and asphalt showed up into our world, they decided to pave them with either or. And because of all humans
I didn't even know that.
travel, why change it? Why change it? Let's put this is where the highway is. So furthermore, state highways are also a place in which to today's standards, if you were to look into the details of what the state states can travel up and down the highway, you can still ride a horse, you can still draw a horse and buggy on a state highway. You cannot branch off from it and go into a county afforded road because the county has different policies. I'm probably speaking way beyond anybody's level of interest, but I became quite versed in the knowledge about state highways, and all that is hopefully my example I just gave can help you understand the things you learn as a Sea Org member and as an INT-based staff member. Wasn't in a hatting pack or wasn't up in the course room on study, learning some L. Ron Hubbard thing. Yes, we did learn stuff about the outside world, mostly for the purpose of how we can overcome resistance that they throw at us. So yeah, Applebox Boy, in essence, indirectly but directly. If you know, you know what I mean by that. He put the squeeze on the Jim Mortland and the people involved to get the county to agree to our request, which was we want a tunnel. And so that came about. We put the tunnel in. We put one tunnel in, and then quickly realized Dave wanted another tunnel because the property was being built out and expanded in different directions. Any and all traffic from the north side to the south side, it was recognized that, man, that's a lot of travel to one point to then go back to further travel once you go through that tunnel. It's like trying to shove everything through one straw, coming from all directions on either side. To ease that workload, Dave ordered another tunnel be put in. And there was another one put further to the east, out towards what people know as the G units, or where we put up invited guests to the property, or VIPs were brought to the property. It was put out closer to there. And later on, I can bring up and get creative and produce a map showing you geographically where these things were. So, Peter, thank you for your question. I hope I answered it well. Let's see. It says a necessity. Anyway, so that answers that question. I'm hopeful. Okay. Well, here's another one from Peter. Wow, he's on the pulse. Question: In 2008, Riverside County created an ordinance against protesting. Ordinance 924. You had departed more than a decade before this, but would you consider this an example of safe pointing? No, I would. My educated guess is Scientology, at least the base Scientology, had nothing to do with that uh, Riverside County ordinance coming in to become enforceable. So they may have been aware of it, but I don't think that anybody in the legal side at Golden Era, and Jorge would know who I'm referring to, which is Ken Hoden or Bruce Wagner, would have been ordered or directed to go get involved with that and help push it through to serve our own needs. I seriously doubt that. That would require a
Yeah,
lot of time away from them doing other important things internally. I mean, would you agree with that, Jorge?
yeah, it would have had a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of work that stands a potential poor outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another one from Peter. Wow, buddy, appreciate all the questions. In a recent court case, Scott Hoschstetter has a restraining order against him. He was able to question the SO security officer on the stand about how much he was paid. He stated, "Well, you know what? Um, through that simple act of occurring, no matter what one has to say, and I'm only saying this as a disclaimer, I guess, because you know, freaking don't judge me for giving a positive or negative response about Scott. Scott took the effort. He did what he did to arrive at where he's at on this restraining order and going to court and taking the church to task on it. Yes, through that, it became public record, official public record within the last, what, 2, 3, 5, 6 months that C organization, somebody who signs a billing year contract, a volunteer with the church, gets paid $47 a week. It became public record. And again, that's the church putting its foot in its own mouth in an attempt to litigate somebody away. And Jorge, you know what that means. So
Oh
that
yeah,
was a success by Scott, standing strong and not willing to be backed down by the C organization's litigious. Is that, am I pronouncing that right?
litigious,
Litigious, litigious
litigious
effort to silence
nature.
people. Yeah.
Yeah,
And this would be another example of this ability by the court to do this and it not hit the court's ears and eyes is proof of the effectiveness of a lot of people's hard work. Tori Chrisman, everybody that's has stood up the entire time up to this very day. Everybody can be included of having created that change of view and understanding of society and our justice system. Yeah, there's something amiss here, and we can no longer just go, ooh, stay away from that because the church sent a cease and desist letter. The church is no longer able to utilize that threatening tool anymore, and they're seeing more and more of it. And even if they do throw it out, people just turn a deaf ear to it because it absolutely means nothing. Having said that, that's how Scott was able to arrive at what he did of getting that type of information. And as I understand it, I actually don't know the outcome of that restraining order. I believe I understand if I've been following correctly and listening correctly to where it's been talked about. Um, he was successful, or somebody arrived at being successful, or maybe it's close to being successful. I don't know. Do you follow Streets LA, Mike Good? I mean, Good's got a
yeah.
strong finger on a strong pulse of the church, doesn't he? Jorge?
Oh yeah.
That guy, having never been where you and I came from, has got a great understanding of how the shit works internally. I can afford that to. I kind of take a little bit of comforting pride in that I help contribute to his ability to understand what we've been screaming about for so long. I and others, right?
Yeah, what those guys do is amazing. I mean,
It's actually it's
really amazing.
incredible how they
It
figured
is.
out to arrive at the approach that they've arrived at is mind-boggling and so appreciated. So, um, having said that, Peter, that's just more color to answer to your question. So let's see. Um, Where'd you go? Where'd you go? So I can clear that off. There we go. Okay. All right. So we are 40 minutes in here. Um, let's see. I want to get back to what I titled this live stream with was "Hello, Osa," because it is.
Sorry.
See, Jorge laughs because I laugh too inside. That it's funny to think that how factually real it is that there literally is somebody sitting there in the church with the sole
Monitoring this.
purpose to comply to an order or directive that anything and everything that comes out of particular people's mouth, or at this point, anybody who's become a high profile critic of Scientology, is actually documented. Right now, I'm killing a tree. And what I mean by that is whoever is documenting this has to then transcribe it onto paper to be documented on paper. Now, I will say that there's probably a better chance than none, or at least it's now 50-50 as to their efforts, where they're documenting it and storing it digitally, thus saving them killing a tree, because it's just clickety click, click, click here and click there, and there's the information saved.
Oh God.
And buying disk storage saves them buying reams and reams of paper. Well, my
I'm sure
understanding
they
and my
still
witness,
have a
huh?
tree. I'm sure
Yeah,
they're still killing the tree somehow. I'm sure they're going to print this out and that's going to get reported or sent
yeah,
somewhere in a box. You know.
yep. They're still killing
I'm sure.
trees, but they're also now doing digitally. And I think over the course of time, they're going to stop killing trees and solely go digital. They may already be digital. What I do know is I don't wholeheartedly know, but I'm thinking back, knowing the rooms that they're sitting in, the floor up at OSA, walking in that entrance, walking past the president's office, which was Heber's office or supposedly Heber's office, where the intelligence offices are, the little storage rooms where all the intelligence data collection equipment is, the high powered lenses, the telescopic and rifle microphones are, the scanning devices, the listen in devices. That went from a small closet room to many a big room containing all that, hundreds and thousands, if not millions of dollars of equipment the church possesses. And yeah, they do, Osa. And you know, Osa, I do have it. So make sure that you highlight that in your thing that, oh shit, Jackson knows about all of our equipment. I don't know the details, but I was there with Ben Shaw when we went out and he dropped this, I think it was a black card or gold card, credit card down when we bought, I think it was over $20,000 worth of equipment in one purchase.
God.
And that was during the Incom mission. I could be off in my numbers. I know it was more than $1. I know it was less than $1 million. That I can tell you. I do know at least $1 was expended by the Church of Scientology, Office of Special Affairs, and a staff member named Ben Shaw. He and I walked into a audiovisual store down in L.A., not too far, not really too far from the HGB or the Middle Management Building there on Hollywood Boulevard, and with the intent to go buy color, uh, pinpoint cameras, and recording equipment for me to then turn around and get set up to monitor and document in a hidden way this gentleman called Tom Romelhart, and you may remember him, right, Jorge?
This is way before. Yeah, I don't remember Tom. No, I don't.
Anyways,
Name
I'm sorry.
escapes
So
me, but this is
I
before
just
digital. This is
assumed.
before.
Weren't you in security when I went on the Incom mission?
Yeah, yeah. Keep in mind, I was an eagle 90% of the time up there, but
Yeah.
so
It just goes to show that there's security within security. So
yeah.
even though that I was the head of security of the int base, that doesn't mean that I knew everything. Just because Mark Yeager was IG admin inspector general, the fourth in command of all of Scientology, he didn't know everything.
Mm-mm.
It was he would be kept he would be kept he would be sheltered from knowing the truth about particular things, for a very good reason. Just because, and it can be safely assumed that because he was in that high rank, he would know anything and everything. There's no way he couldn't. Well, no, there's very much so a way that he couldn't know everything, and that would apply to even people in OSA right now. The people that are listening, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. They don't know anything about all the legal crap going on. You would think that they should, but they don't. And everybody in the legal side of OSA doesn't know about the intelligence side of OSA, and vice versa. Even Kurt Wieland, who was a high executive in OSA, didn't know anything and everything. Even the CO OSA, who holds that position today, does not know anything and everything. Does not know about what Dave Miscavige is doing in his interactions with the attorneys, and what the attorneys are interacting with Dave Miscavige about. I'm just trying to help people understand that is a fact. That is 100% fact. Just because you're in a high executive position does not mean you're in a know-all of know-all.
Yeah.
And having said that, I'm just trying to help people better understand. I was there. I saw it. I know of it. I shook hands with it. I was immersed in that for years. So,
I mean, to that point, we didn't know anything about your mission. We knew that you were on it, but we were, doing the regular
know about
watch thing.
What type of mission I was going on, what I was going on it for, etc. So,
yeah,
that was the strange thing. And when I came back, I couldn't talk to you about it. But yet you're the security guard of the international base. Why can't I talk to you about it? Why can't I share what I learned and experienced to then hopefully offer up a new idea or a new perspective as to my fellow coworkers? I couldn't do that. You don't do that in Scientology. It's like, hey, you may have been able to do that down in with the shoot crew, the film crew, where the cameraman recognizes, hey, this is a better way of doing it. But if it was in any conflict with what L. Ron Hubbard said, you could not voice that, because if you had an idea that seemingly took 20 minutes off of an hour task, you couldn't advise it because your recommendation would be in conflict with what L. Ron Hubbard said back in 1960, right?
That's right.
It's really crazy. It's just a crazy environment. So, anyways, let's see. That was that question. I just, hey, here we are answering questions. 1 billion years of Sea Org tacos. No thanks. You can have it. OSA, witness. That's funny. OSA, get out now before you die in poverty. Well, that is a true statement. And I tell you, to your OSA listeners, I got to say, I don't bring you up, or I did not highlight you as in the title of my video here, because I'm trying to ridicule you or belittle you as a human. I say what I say in a joking, ridiculous way in hopes to increase your awareness of what it is you're doing, because I wish I had somebody like that for me when I was a security chief. Like Jackson as a security chief, somebody going, dude, here's the law that what you're doing or what we're doing is we're clearly in violation of. And here's the written law. And here's where L. Ron Hubbard says, follow the laws of the land. So we got to stop doing this. Well, even in the times, I don't know if you remember this, or probably not, but I remember just on the mail lines when I was security checking or going through people's mail, I used to wonder, is this legal or not? So I
highly illegal. Highly illegal. It's a felony. You can't do that.
I know, but I went to my internal people and spoke to OSA, called the legal department. I think his name was Richard something at the time. Richard, I'll remember his name, but I could be wrong in that one. But I do remember calling down to OSA, minimally speaking to Kirsten, but being directed and connected with somebody in legal, explaining to me how it is okay for the church to check people's mail. And that is, we had them sign a document when they first arrived there, in that innocent, hey, I'm at this cool place, I'll sign anything to be here moment. No representation whatsoever, but people happily signed it. Some people would question it, but they're already in at that point. Here they arrived over the rainbow, presented with this paperwork to sign. They see something, it's like, I don't want my mail checked. Well, the person sitting there before them asking him to sign the paper would say, yeah, I can understand how you understand it to be that way, but it's not what you're reading it to be. That is, we're doing it to protect you, to filter out and take out anybody's attempt to fill your world with bad news or some negative aspect with intent to upset you. So that's why we check it. We don't highlight the fact that we're doing it to protect the group and see if there's anybody in your family or friends or your life connections that could be influencing you to lessen your view or your interest in being here. And
And it's
by doing,
it's a massive web of lies that goes on, because there's lies you tell your staff, there's lies you tell the public, there's lies you tell the cops, there's lies, it's insane. It's crazy when you
yeah, it
really
is.
start looking at all the lies. Oh, initially, yeah, we're reading your mail to keep that data off your line so you can just focus. Oh, it sounds great. Okay, great, wonderful.
Yeah,
But what that means is they're not going to let you get a letter from your mom or, you know,
that's right.
whatever.
Here's Lydia, the beautiful, sexy, creative, artistic title. I'd like to think that your name is Lydia. So, anyways, if you refuse to sign, would you get sec checked? It if you persisted with it, then yes, you would be pulled off, put aside, and go, there's something wrong with this dude. He really has an issue with signing the letter, so we need to find out. We would instantly go down the mindset that this guy could be a plant. He could be set up. He's here to, it puts us in this defense mode and this attack mode all in once through someone full on resisting signing that letter. So, or that document, that letter of release, releasing the church responsible for going through the mail. So yes,
They
you
wouldn't
are
even make it
correct.
to the end base, though. They wouldn't even make it to the end base because you signed that before you were cleared to go to the end base. So you'd never
Well,
make it to the end base to begin with, I don't think.
I wasn't aware of that being in place, or it was part of the routing form that you would be put on the new base staff routing form. It was part of that. I didn't know it took place prior to your arrival.
It
I
did
was
for
never
me.
aware of that. Huh?
I'm sure it was for me. There was a bunch of things that we signed before being cleared.
Sure. I wouldn't doubt that. I
Yeah,
just
that's
that's the
what I'm
first time I
saying.
heard of it. I'm not saying what you're saying is not valid. It's just I was
Yeah,
never
no,
aware of that.
yeah.
That I could see that working out down in what they had we had a remote Golden Era representative office down in L.A. that would be the point in which everybody would filter through to then um, come up and be sent up to the base. So that office was called the Gold Liaison Office, right? GLO, Gold Liaison Office. So
It
anybody who was
was
being
yeah,
recruited would go through
liaison
that
office for
office.
me.
What's that?
The int liaison office,
Yeah, or the Int Liaison Office. Yeah, six one half
same
dozen, all in
thing.
the same.
Yeah.
If you were being specifically brought to gold for one of your audio visual or cinematic talents, it would all be communicated as you're going to golden era or a
Mm-hmm.
musician. But if you're being brought to the Int base, that would be the Int liaison office. If you're being brought there to become part of Executive Strata International or in the Commodore's Messenger Organization International, you would be identified as going to the Int liaison office. So yeah, I hope Lydia, LVCC, LVSC, um, that should be an answer to your question. So, Jorge, we're kind of arriving at a neutral point here. So, what do you got to say, brother? What do you got going on? What do you what do they say in The
Um,
Sopranos? What is Paulie saying? What do you say? What do you know? You ever watch The Sopranos? What do you say? What do you hear?
I love The Sopranos.
Oh my God! Especially Paulie.
Great show. Oh, it's
His
great.
the way he pointed at people. That his little whistle in his talk, his wings on his hair. I just love that New Jersey attitude. Not to say what
Yeah,
they're doing in The Sopranos, I'm wholeheartedly in support of. It's just, God forbid that was our
he's a
environment
little
right
more
here. Hey,
overt, you know.
what's
No,
that?
yeah. At least it was a little more overt. I wonder if it's. Hold on a second. Let me try this.
I can't hear you now. Go ahead, try it again.
Oh, hold on.
I can hear
Hold
you
on.
now. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me
That sounds a
now?
lot better.
Is that
Huh?
better than?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, it's not so
great.
distorted.
Well, thank God. Okay.
Oh yeah,
I
much
thought
better.
having a mic on the earphones would be better. Sorry.
You have a do you have a lot of windows open right now in the background, stuff running in the background? Because
No,
it seems like no,
I don't have any
not
windows open.
not your house windows, but like browsers open on your computer, stuff
Oh,
running in the background.
let me
Because it
try.
seems
Hold on.
you have a slower speed. It seems like your data exchange on your internet is being choked off or something, or maybe you're in a remote location. I don't know.
Well, I am in kind of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I'm closing on some things here.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
yeah. I just think in an effort, while you're doing that, I'm gonna bring up Professor Con. So SOP in the 70s was 1720. There we go. I remember that 1720. Nothing
Yeah,
taken
there you
out.
go.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Professor Con. And that title reference. Obviously, you were somebody. If you know, you know, because you were there. I'm gonna highly suspect that you were in the Geo or you were in the prime of the Geo era because that was the 70s was a hot and heavy. Um, Here's Witness making a
I just
comment about also taking 14-year-olds from California to Nevada for marriage is trafficking illegal. Yeah, I wouldn't say that they were taken there. That was an option. If you wanted to get married, go to Vegas or go
yeah.
down to the courthouse. That was, to get laid, to be honest with you, to get laid, finally, I'm going to take the shortest, the least passive resistance to be able to have some intimacy with this woman or man that I'm falling in love with. So, yeah. Yes, witness, you're correct. Um,
I think I
there's
was the first
also,
person to drive a Nissan Sentra through the tunnel.
I'm sorry.
I think I was the first person to drive a Nissan Sentra through the tunnel.
And why did you do that, Daddy O?
I wanted to surprise Danny, who was in the main booth
Oh,
at
so
night.
you wouldn't go through one of the gates?
Right. So I
Oh,
drove
that
through
makes
the
sense.
tunnel
That's
just to
funny.
do it, and then
That
go
must have been a
and
hard. See, I remember in the design stages that it was designed specifically to build to have a car go through and have pedestrian traffic go through at the same time. So measurements were afforded to have
at the same
two,
time.
huh?
I'm skeptical about the same time because that's a very hard left turn to take.
On the north side, right?
Yeah,
Well,
on the
you
from
understand
south
why? It's
going to north.
because of the landscape was it's on the north side. It was much steeper and there was much more contours to the north side of the property than there were the
Yeah,
south side.
yeah,
And clearly, and even digging trenches. If you're going to dig trenches on the south side of the property, you could do it by hand. Or on the north side of the property, you needed a freaking commercial grade, track hoe grade jackhammer to get through it.
yep.
You were guaranteed to hit these boulders, not just rocks, but boulders
Massive
in an
boulders.
attempt. My God, it was misery. So yeah, I was gonna. It's funny that you mentioned that because when you said that, I was like, my first thought was, God, that must have been a hard left turn or right turn
Yeah,
going in and out of the tunnel from the north side to the south side,
right.
or the south side to the north. But you made it, yeah. And again, that was all mathematically by design. You couldn't take a pickup truck through it. It wouldn't allow a pickup truck, but it would take um, an average conventional car. So that's more or less more interesting to you and I, Jorge. But a billion years of sewer tacos, no thanks. Let's see. Okay, well, let's get back to OSA as to why um, OSA, the OSA staff that are sitting here with us this fine morning on the 18th of August. Oh, by the way, and Jorge, I don't. Maybe I shouldn't even mention it. It's my
No,
mom's birth.
dude.
It's my mom's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Kathy.
I know I haven't talked to my mom in years. So,
Yeah,
um,
sure.
and again, you OSA staff, you're like your crybaby, your case. You don't understand. I'm hopeful. Well, at least I'm more. I tend to more believe that you don't have an empathetic empathy or loving embracement of your family, your father, your mother, your brothers, sisters, uncles, nieces, and aunts, that you've allowed yourself, and again, you've allowed yourself. You don't have to allow yourself to be mentally restricted from and emotionally restricted from wanting to talk to your family. That is your human right, regardless of what Scientology says, what any organization, what anybody says on this planet, and particularly in the United States. You retain that right to interact with your family at your choosing. So that isn't to say that, and unfortunately, this is the seed that Scientology has planted in us committed to Scientology or the Sea Organization, that it's your choice to be connected or not connected with your family. But they impose upon you to pay major influence on your personal decision to be or not to be. They get away with saying that we do not actively enforce that, but they impose it, forcing, like they wink, wink in a conversation. Well, you may want to reconsider a choice that you're being made about that topic we're talking about right now. They do anything and everything except upfront say it. And you OSA staff sitting here, if it's one or it's 5 or 10 of you, or you're part of the replay crew later, anytime another human being insinuates or indicates that, if you get in contact with your family or friends, you've got to be willing to accept the outcome of that. What do you mean? Like that something bad's going to happen? If it's going to be a good outcome, then yeah, I'd happily do it. But why are you, that is an example, probably not a really well organized statement of giving an example of the position that you're putting. I know there's a technical, psychological, or a life true definition of how to explain what that is. What is it? It's coercion. I know that you're basically being coerced into belief that you need to say the right thing here, bud. Wink, wink. Right?
Yeah.
And if they discover
I mean,
that you don't,
there's a very real threat to them. Well, you're
yeah,
going to end up in RPF. You're going to end up, you're going to get busted. You're going to get combat. You're going to get punished, and very harshly punished for reaching out, or for, even starting to think about it, because it's a thought crime now, and
that's right. And to you OSA folks, to those sitting here listening and joining in with the 24 or so people here with us now, it's a violation of your human rights. The very thing the church proclaims it stands up for and supports and provides a safe and sane path travel through your human rights. But yet the church turns around and violates your human rights by imposing that threat upon you. And that's wrong. And you are seeing it for what it is. And please believe in yourself. Believe in yourself that what you're seeing, the distaste of why can't I see my family? And you voice that, and then now you're in trouble. It's that quick. Well, that's the fear factory you are part of, that David Miscavige created. David Miscavige created that fear factory you are part of. The musters, anybody that attends the muster, anybody that holds a post from this organization is now part of a solidified fear factory. It is nothing but fear as a Sea organization. Yeah, you'll have your moments like, wow, it's not so bad here. But if you sit back and evaluate statistically the pros and cons of you being in that environment, you're living a fear-driven lifestyle. Having to be on musters in times, and if you don't, you're in significant trouble. Well, you know what? Out here in this world, yeah, it's expected of you to show up on time to work, but your life isn't over if you show up late. They're gonna go, what was the reason? Well, my kid suddenly threw up, and I had to change his clothes and clean them up, and that delayed me getting out the door, which would be an otherwise normally scheduled event. That put me back a half hour, and your boss would go, okay, no biggie, and move on. Whereas in the Sea Org,
I can always call out. I can say, hey, you know what? I'm feeling sick. Okay,
Yeah.
take me off. you imagine even thinking that in the Sea Org? It's like it's
you couldn't.
insanity.
Yeah,
What did you have to do to get a day off?
I know.
Like,
So we're here to help you better understand that. And just on that simple note, that simple analogy that Jorge and I just gave you should help you better understand. You do have rights as an individual, regardless of what the Sea Organization or Scientology says, or L. Ron Hubbard even says. You as a human being reserve the right to challenge ideas or information given to you, expected of you to execute or perform. Whether it's, I just don't want to do it, and you can't explain why you don't want to do it. It's just, I don't like ketchup on my hot dog. Well, that's all we have to give. So you're going to eat a hot dog with no ketchup on it. So, and I really want mustard. Well, we don't have mustard. Well, you just, that's the way it is, as opposed in the Sea Org, you like ketchup. We don't like mustard. And if you like mustard, you're against our grain, and you're going to be investigated to why you like mustard. Yeah. See, Jorge, it's so true, right? And,
I laugh
you're
because
made
it's so true. It's so
you're made
true.
to feel bad. You're made to feel
Yep.
bad because you like mustard, and you're in conflict now. How is that odd? Why is that odd? But you're in this fear factor where you go, I guess that's wrong, and I'm a bad person. And you heel clap and stand in line and say, yes, sir. And to survive another day, that's what you do is you agree to their insane demands that are in conflict with logic.
It's an assault on your
Intelligence.
consciousness. At the end, you can't think for yourself. I mean, if you really, if they could think now, even with, if you applied LRH policy, what happened to the statistics now? We don't manage by statistics anymore in Scientology.
Right.
It's shrinking organization. If you could just understand, I mean, it frustrates me to no end that even if you applied Hubbard's policies, it doesn't make sense to be there anymore. It just doesn't.
Well, it should bring about your interest in questioning. Is this, like I said, is it right or wrong to really not like mustard on my hot dog? Well, is it right or wrong to really not like my family or have interest in talking to my mother, talking to my father, see how my sister's doing, see how my uncle's doing? Whoever you choose to talk to and communicate with and be open with and have open dialogue with, or send a birthday gift to, or receive gifts or cards to, without input from Scientology or the Sea Organization.
Yeah, our hobbies,
factor.
Other food, fry. If
I'm
you have
sorry,
a hobby, if you like horse,
yeah,
anything. I mean,
just because you actually like to interact with your family, just so you know, you OSA staff members or Sea Org members listening, it's not your interest in wanting to do that, and the time you would take to do that with your family, interact with your family, isn't taking away from clearing the planet. It doesn't mean you've made it one more day longer to clear the planet and making it that much harder. That's a false narrative. It's an inappropriate narrative. It's a narrative told to you to further impose and further create the fear factory that the Scientology and Sea Organization has become, put in place by David Miscavige. So, you may not believe it was put in place by David Miscavige, but here's the commonality between you current OSA staff sitting here watching. You and I both know minimally of David Miscavige. Well, you know what? I had firsthand experience working with and under that guy for years. You may have only seen him in passing. You, in most cases, most likely, I don't know, you may see him every day. I seriously doubt it, but daily interactions are going on about the operations of Scientology. So he knows, and you know that this thing that's being imposed on you to make you feel bad about interacting with your family is put in place by David Miscavige. He will eventually hear about your choice. I want to talk to my mom, or I want to have mustard on my hot dog. He'll hear about it, and you know that, and that you become fearful of that very idea. And there you just, you feel motivated to, well, the path of least resistance is to shut up and continue on. And I'll figure out later when to talk to my mom. Go talk to him right now. Do it tonight after work. Do it today over your lunch. Go to a business across the street there in Hollow Boulevard and ask if you can use their phone. Excuse me. Just get in touch with your family. Just get in touch. I'm not asking you to leave the Sea Org. I'm not asking you to leave Scientology. Experience that freedom of open communication between you and your family without fear of the church learning the intimate details behind that conversation or interaction with your family. That's not their business. For them to otherwise...
If we're speaking about them, it is in your best interest. It is in your family's best interest. And in the end, it's going to, I mean, you're going to think clearly and you're going to think better for a little bit if you reach out and talk to them and find out how they're doing.
Yeah.
Before it's too late.
Yeah. Don't experience another day in the Sea Org of Scientology wondering how your family's doing when, like me, you know, my mom doesn't talk to me by choice. That doesn't mean that I haven't made the effort to try to get in touch with her. And try to figure out where she's at, because you guys all know that I know how to do that. Oh yeah, Lydia's saying it's coercive control. That's what it is. You know, look that up in a dictionary. Go word clear that. Sit down in front of the computer. Go to your word clear next time you do the course and go, I need to clear the phrase coercive control. See what the reaction is going to be. They're not going to want you to clear that up, because they know if you were to understand what that means, that will put you down the path to question Scientology and the Sea Organization and Dave Miscavige's motives. So they're going to most likely, and I speak from an educated guess, steer you away from understanding, or they're only going to shed light on one aspect of it, of coercive control, such as that's you training your dog to not piss in the house.
Yeah.
You know,
back in the 70s, you know.
You're coercing your dog to no longer piss inside. So here's the things you can do to create coercive control. No, there's a coercive control factor to human beings. And that's what they are steering you clear from understanding. So, go ahead, Ori. I think I just cut you off.
No, you're fine. You needed to finish that. I'm sorry. Before Hubbard died, and not he was a tyrant too, but what I'm trying to say is that before, a Scientologist was someone that could communicate to anyone. And that was the policy. You really, the whole business was around communication, and now you can't. Why? Why can't a fully trained Scientologist be able to communicate with anyone? Isn't that the end phenomenon of so many?
I know. The funny thing is you can go and the funny thing is, Jorge, I hope I didn't step on you.
No, you're good.
The funny thing is you OSA staff member that I'm, sitting here listening to us talk, you may have already or will be going to course to study some sort of Scientology or Sea Organization material. But you also know that you have access to the basics of Scientology, the basics that L. Ron Hubbard provides you to understand that communication is a universal solvent. Communication is a great, valuable tool. He goes so far to break down all aspects of communication, the value of it, how it contributes to your life and others' life, how it can affect your life by having it or not having it or misusing it. So from that, you walk away sitting in that course room, learning about what L. Ron Hubbard has to say. Communication is a great tool in life to utilize at any given time to either resolve conflict or to deliver information, and whether in an emergency or in a casual situation, it's our way in which we interact and provide and exchange information and ideas. So what's wrong with you wanting to communicate with your family? You then learn that in that course room setting, and you read it in an L. Ron Hubbard published document, green on white, red on white, or in his books. And then you're met with conflict by your boss or somebody in the Hubbard Communications office or Dave Miscavige himself yelling at somebody for your interest to talk to your family. And then you become, it's an actual fearful thing to do. Where someone in conflict Hubbard, with what? Go ahead.
I don't mean to step on your toes, Jackson. Sorry.
It's the challenges with an internet connection. So go ahead.
Sorry, someone in the Hubbard Communications office is going to get on your case for communicating.
That's right. And you know what? You're correct in going, why is it wrong to talk to my family? Now, it would be wrong for you to talk to your family if your sole purpose was instructing or getting them to agree to performing some criminal or harmful act. Yeah, I would agree with the Scientology stopping you from talking to your family if that's why you want to talk to them. But it's your human right to even have such a conversation with your family without any restrictions or fear of anybody becoming involved. But in 99.9% of the cases, people wanting to interact and communicate with their family is to embrace that love, that that maternal connection. That's my brother. That's my sister. Really, how are you doing? I want to hear how you're doing. And the funny thing is when if you were to, my witness experience, because I listen in on many of these conversations, that I became myself aware of when I was listening to said conversations where a staff member in the C organization was allowed to talk to their family. The family member would give an in-depth, unfiltered responses to how they're doing or the things they're doing in life. Whereas a Sea Org member, when they're asked by their family, so how are you doing? What are you doing? As a Sea Org member in Scientology, number one, somebody's listening into it. But number two, it's going to come up eventually in some sort of counseling or security checking that I don't really like it here. If you feel you want to talk about that and say that in response to your brothers or sisters or mother's question, how do what's going on? Are you living a good life or bad life, or what challenges or what happinesses are you experiencing in your life? And it just so happens you feeling, I don't want to be here anymore. That's your right to say that to your family member without input. But what I was listening to in these conversations or hearing in this was, I can hear the family member going, that was just a sprinkled, it was a turd polished to look like a diamond response. The response to a family member's question, how are you doing? Oh, it's good. All's good, with no specifics. Whereas, we stayed up you would like to say, well, I stayed up every night, all night long for the last 2 nights and I'm dead tired. That would be an honest answer. Or there's a lot going on right now and we're really busy and really tight, but I did take time out to call you because I love you. Or I'm sorry I couldn't call you because we were working on a project. It's understandable why you wouldn't talk about that project, but typically I would hear these responses from the Sea Org member going, yeah, it's all good. So how's your love life? Yeah, I'm working on it. Are you saving money? I make enough money. All the room and board's afforded to me. It was these answers to shelter, having to answer up for reality. Mom, I don't get paid much. And it's not expected we get paid much. That's just pocket money to afford me the ability to buy toothpaste and soap. But everything else is afforded me. You should be able to talk about like that. People, anyways, I'm really going deep into what I'm trying to explain. But you OSA staff, you have the right to have an open dialogue, open communication with your family. So exercise it. Just please exercise it. Exercise it. Make the effort to talk to your family. Connect with them. Say hello. And when you do it to your own desire, not do it out of fear. Don't exchange communication based off of your fearful concerns of what you say. So if you want to tell them that you don't like mustard and you're being demanded to like ketchup, that is a life situation. That's what we talk about. That's what we talk about in life. So talk about your family. If you want to do it, go right ahead. If you don't, that's your choice. But don't do it because you get in trouble. That's all I'm saying. So anyways, that's my attempt to help the people sitting there in OSA better understand that life outside of Scientology and Sea Org is actually really good. And you can even come out here and continue your belief and support and practice of Scientology. You can do that. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, be more believeful, believe in yourself even more in what you see, what your intuition tells, what your gut tells you, right or wrong. Quit feeling the need to fall in line and meet the demands of somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say something. Was it a week or last? It's been a week and a half, I think, or 2 weeks. Sorry, the past couple of weeks have been a bit of a nightmare. But my mother, Yolanda Avila, passed away in
Yeah.
Hemet in a care facility. And she followed the rules to the end. I mean, she didn't. I actually got through to the phone. I was able to call and get through to the nurse that was taking care of her. Luckily, it wasn't the MLO, the medical liaison officer, the Sea Org person assigned to her. She was, in a care facility where people go to die, frankly, because she was dying. And she refused to talk to me. She yelled out my name and said, "I don't want to talk to him," repeatedly and very, screaming it, in a voice of someone that's very frail. It was extreme. That was the last I've ever heard of her. Phone was shortly after that cut off. But I would not wish that on anybody. I wouldn't wish that as a son to my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. Jackson was there for me. I had my friends and family that embraced me and that helped me through that. But it is highly destructive, to enforce these disconnection policies. It's not something. It's very permanent when somebody dies. I know we have a Scientologists think, oh, we're just going to come back. And what I respect your viewpoint, but it doesn't take away from the fact that your mother just passed away and that you'll never see her again.
Right.
On a very personal, human level, it is beyond wrong to take that away from anyone, and to not allow someone that's dying to say, listen, it's okay to talk to your son this last time. It's okay. He just wants to say goodbye. You know what I mean? That to take that away from anyone is beyond inhumane. It's unreasonable. It's beyond what we would call suppressive. It's I don't know how to describe it, but
well, you've done a good job of describing it, where as far as I'm concerned, you're trying to bring more and more empathy into this picture, and it's really hard to articulate under such an emotional situation. That's my opinion, but it's hard to articulate something so deeply meaningful to you, and I'm sorry you're even finding trouble in finding the words to say exactly what you're trying to say. But I'm seeing in the chat here that people are understanding you. I'm just going to speak on your behalf here, that you relating this is intended to hit the ears of the OSA staff. They're sitting there listening this and expected to document our every spoken word. But please, OSA staff, do not let this use Jorge's lived example and experience as an example to you to avoid you ending up in that, whether it's 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now. It's inevitable that we're going to lose a loved one in our life. That's just a fact with life. Whether it's to move on to the next life, or it's just these bodies, our human bodies, us human bodies, they do not last as long as we hoped that they would. So Jorge's expressing to you, embrace the love with your family. Make it okay to talk about anything. And do not reject a family member based off of what Scientology is telling you, because that's not your desire, as far as I'm concerned. If that is your choice, then that's your choice. But make that your choice based off of your own conclusion and what's coming from your gut, not what L. Ron Hubbard says or Dave Miscavige is enforcing. because it'll save you the emotional impact that even if Jorge had a happy communication with his mom, he'd still feel the great loss of no longer having her. That's inevitable. That's something newly arrived at from us being at base staff. Jorge, I think you would agree. There was at one time you would just think, it's just another day, just another day. But no.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for sharing that, Jorge. I hope I didn't get in the way of your intending, to say what you wanted to say.
No, I mean that's basically that's there's nothing else to say. It's just it's wrong. It shouldn't feel right to anyone, no matter how much in the seal you are, that it's okay to cut someone off like that, because
Correct.
if I've been declared a suppressive person, the person, your mother's dying, just that's not too much to ask. It's just to say goodbye. It's beyond understanding.
That's right. That's right, buddy. Well, on that note, Jorge, I think I've kind of exhausted today's intended topic to discuss. I think as we've arrived at a good point to allow people to move on with their Sunday. I'm hopeful to think that, for the majority part, I hope this actually just is a productive use of the replay crew.
Give me 1 second. I forgot.
Sure. Do 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 do. Boy, do I miss the Jeopardy days with Alex Trebek. Such a sign of the time. Oh, look at that, brother. Yeah, you got a black cap. Is that dark blue or is it black?
It's dark blue.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine's just lit more better than yours. So anyways, yeah. Is that a recent one? Because I see some graphics on the side of it.
Yeah, it's a little palm tree.
Oh, the palm trees? Yeah, what's on the emblems that are on their socks? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, a taco. Yeah, buddy. Was that taco night at Dodger Stadium or something?
It's my
That's
kid's
awesome.
hat.
I never seen the taco caps. I wonder if Sterling's got one of those.
I'm sure he does.
That tool bucket. I mean, yeah. Sterling's probably got fingernail polish in Dodger blue, Oh, look at that. Peter Anderson is saying it's Pantone 294 blue. Wow.
Nice.
I'm impressed that he knows that detail. That's like, wow, I just call it blue, but he actually knows the industry standard name for that. What do we need to how do we turn these fibers into that color that we want? Well, we like the Pantone 294 blue. That's what we're going to call Dodger blue. Wow. Thank you, Peter. Anyways, my brother, I think we should sign off now. Hour and 28 minutes. I want to thank. Peter's a Giants fan. That's a fighting word there. Wow, buddy. That says so much about you by default, right, Peter? So, there's us sitting out there in the stands bantering each other. So that just comes as it's like a Mets and Yankees fan. So I can only imagine Dodgers and Giants fans don't have that New York attitude with them.
At least he's not a Padres fan. Then we'd be in real trouble.
Oh, yeah. Peter's saying I'm in good company with Nora. Well, there you go. You have your camaraderie established, and I don't fault you for that. Everybody's choice. But we're not going to see you in the postseason, just so you know. I'd say the moment Bocce moved off from managing that team, you guys lost any chances of seeing a postseason schedule. How's that? All right. Well, there we have it. Thanks, Peter, for all your interaction. The witness is a Padres fan. I don't blame you. Padres are acceptable. But go Padres, you know. Like I said, I grew up liking the Dodgers, and that's where my interest and loyalty fans lies. Peter's giving Sterling angst for his Dodgers. Yep, that's what happens in this world. So thank you, Witness. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Lydia von Stretchclaw. Janet from another planet. That's so funny. Witness, I already mentioned that. All you other folks here in the chat, and those who I don't see or know, but also to the future replay crew. Thank you for coming here and drawing interest in the crazy, unorganized things I have to say. And thank you, Jorge, for joining me in this. Yeah, and I look forward to the next time. I may do this in a couple days. I may do another one tomorrow. I have a window here in which I can do a lot more of these than I've normally been doing, so I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm trying to get more creative and more consistent and more productive. So for those who have come here, actually don't sit here and listen to a bunch of ahs, or or my eyes wandering off somewhere. I want to be here and afford you the information I intend to give you, which is a better understanding and better knowledge about the inside world and the fear factory that Scientology and the Sea Organization has become. Because I walked that walk. I was there. I saw it. And, you know, people like Jorge was right there with me. Okay. Well, there we go, folks. I'm going to bring this to an end, Jorge. And again, thanking everybody for being here. I got to click the end stream now. And we'll say bye-bye until... in as a side note to the 17 still left, if you want to get notified when I'm going to go live next, if you're interested, just hit the subscribe button, and then there's a little pull down bar there to how you want to get notified, or how often you want to get. Just take a selection from there, but hit the subscribe button, because that will afford you having the ability, without having to go look, to be notified of my announced next live. Okay, that's all. I don't need it for, you know, I'm not here to make money. I have no intent to make any money. Yeah, Janet from another planet says done and done. Well, there we go. Done and done. We'll see you all later. And where did my mouse go? There we go. All right. Bye-bye.